the idea of eating a circus peanut just reminds me of that circular wooden table that was always covered in weed trash downstairs at the bro house. Like there's something like raw and like filthy feeling about a circus peanut that is like, it makes me feel icky. It's like eating the Dust Bowl from the Great Depression. It's like eating rust, like a rusty nail.
Trust the fungus. Trust the fungus.
I like how Chris and I are both like, no!
Oh, you would have fucking survived. Okay,
You just start saying numbers and EJ and I both go, ah!
You would have been able to keep track. I mean, I keep great time. I'm sure both of you keep okay time. EJ, I'm not so sure. You're kind of iffy, kind of rush a little bit.
Hey, my buddy Cody who's a musician, referred to EJ's fills on the 09 album as machine-like in their precision.
Yeah, that's the benefit
because
of
they're triggered or
grid editing.
Quantized.
Yeah. You always got to be quantizing your drums, brother.
You do be quantizing them drums.
I don't know what that means other than that I guess you cheat.
It's like snap to grid.
If I was really bad at drums, he could fix it by lining everything up flawlessly and then sampling over it with fake drums. Proud to say that I'm truly drumming on that record. Except for a few parts that Chance drummed on it while I was gone. He did do a part on the record. Justin also did a part on the same song, actually.
Which one?
There are 3 drummers on that record.
It's like hardly even your song at that point.
It's true, and it's my favorite song on the record, too.
Dead Roots?
Oh, no.
Really?
Yeah.
No wonder I don't love it, because it's not you on there.
No, that's my favorite fucking song, dude. The intro was like a Chance idea when I was gone one day, and then we had to punch a couple of fixes on something that I wanted to change, and I was not there, so Justin just went in and tracked it. So it's like him playing the main beat, and then my fills getting punched in, and then him playing the main beat, and then my fills getting punched in, and then back to me again.
You gotta do that live once.
Yeah, right?
You're just standing behind him, ready to hit the toms.
Dude. Hey, Sarah is also on the record. She caught a cymbal for me on the track 2.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, dude.
MVP.
Also on Dead Roots, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 singers on that song. Max and Brennan and Brandon and who else? There was a 4th person involved.
Did you throw down any Vokes?
Oh, dude, my voice is all over that record. Singing and screaming. Everywhere. You'll never know, thankfully, because I sound like shit. But
it's really low in the mix.
It's literally,
is that a person like humming in the background?
I did choirs and gang vocals and layered screams to Beef Maddie and Kellen and Corey and recorded it all right here, right where we record the Console Crusade podcast. And we're back! My God, now that we've been talking for an hour off the air, catching up about our lives, we're back. We're here to talk some shit, talk some stuff. I'm EJ Olson, Nick Durheim. Hello.
We're back.
True gamer story. Chris Gilly Forer.
Can I interest you in a delicious circus peanut, sirs?
So here's the thing. This has been the Console Crusade podcast. Nick and I will catch you next time. I'm just kidding.
Console Crusade.
So State of Play happened. And also, we watched for the second time in as many years the Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993. So we'll be talking about that.
I can't believe I got you guys to watch this movie twice. That's fucking wild.
Dude, what do you mean make us? I would willingly watch this movie every year.
I recall a fair amount of resistance at the beach, but that may have just been because I had my mom's DVD of this, and that is the best fidelity that was available at the time. EJ, the exact one and the same. EJ's holding up his shiny new copy, which he probably like Amazon one-dayed so that he could slap that in and watch it.
Jonathan Aldridge and I bought this at Walmart in 2010 when I was still in high school, and I've owned it ever since. And this is the first time it's ever been watched. I wanted to get the, I think Umbrella did a 4K limited release. And when we decided to do this, we made a playlist full of all these video game adaptations that we want to watch and review in the Console Crusade podcast. And Chris had the great idea that we would do it chronologically, which starts us in the absolute dregs of video game adaptations.
Oh, how could
Peak.
you?
So
Peak.
I was not able to order a copy of this, so I had to watch it on DVD, but I got to watch it on a CRT, which made it worth it. Which was a
That makes
nice
it
little
pretty
touch.
pretty true to origin.
Well, unfortunately, this DVD copy is widescreen. If it was a pan and scan VHS, I'd be really happy.
Yeah, you're missing out on a lot of cinematography though if you're doing pan and scan with the creative shots that they incorporate in this film.
I would make a joke about how this is Super Mario Bros. From 1993, and there is no cinematography worth appreciating, but that's not true. This is a perfectly
not true
well-made
at all.
film. Okay. We're getting ahead of
Okay, we'll get there.
All right. So we will be doing that segment later. Get ready for it, folks. We're going to be watching a lot of bad movies and talking about them, so you can watch along with us. Let's start with the state of play. Nick, you said that you kind of skimmed some trailers. Chris, did you watch the whole thing?
I did.
Okay. Do we want to just hit the highlights, all the big
Yes.
things? And
Yes,
kinda...
please.
Well, let's start at the fucking top. Let's go backwards, huh? You want to start with Ghost?
Oh man, just right away. You haven't even warmed me up yet. I was very excited. They one more thinged us for the first time since I've been watching State of Plays in a way that actually felt like it was impactful. That we get this captured on PS5 Pro, blah 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 blah, and it's clearly we're in Japan, and so I'm thinking, okay, I'm immediately going Ghost of Tsushima. Immediately thinking it's Ghost of Tsushima, and then I see, we get a shot of the new protagonist, and I don't recognize the mask. It's not the same mask. It's not the same character. So I start second guessing myself, and I'm like, oh shit, wait, is this Neo 3? Is this Sekiro 2? Shadows Die Thrice?
3-0?
3-0 was right there. So I was kind of like, fuck, which and then the picture of like the wanted poster looked just like the silhouette of the main character from Rise of the Ronin. And I was like, holy shit, is this Rise of the Ronin 2? That'd be fucking hilarious if that's their one more thing.
Can I be honest? I thought this was got to be Assassin's Creed delay. I thought they're going to give us a big new trailer and be like, coming January 2025. I because of the announcement this morning, they delayed the previews and canceled a bunch of showcase stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is Assassin's Creed with a firm date. This is weird. I don't know.
Yeah, the thought crossed my mind too, that I was sort of like, oh, is it like smoke and mirrors that they sort of like went dark all of a sudden? They went into the shadows before they like revealed the no, but it is in fact Ghosts of a sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima, Ghosts of Yote. Thank you. I was gonna say yokai after watching that admittedly very dope trailer this morning. Yeah, Ghosts of Yote. Tight. So tight. Tsushima is a game that I have really wanted to play, and I've kind of just been dragging my feet on it. I got lots of other games in my shelf that I should probably play. But now that I know a sequel is coming and next year, well, dated 2025, we'll see when we get that firm date. I need to get this game. This is a game that Nate platinumed, which is unheard of. Well, I don't know if he platinumed it. It's a game that he had the impulse to platinum, which is exceedingly rare. And EJ, you've tried and kind of fell off, and it didn't really land for you. I know it's gonna land for me. I know I'm gonna fucking like this game. I know it's gonna be a black hole. I'm gonna crow about it on our Discord channel and the Now Playing channel, which you can find by going to solo.to/console crusade. Come join the fun. I know I'm going to fucking love this game. And now I have the impetus to do it. And I love those like sequel opportunities where it's like, okay, I can get caught up. Like knowing that Metal Gear Solid Delta is coming out early 2025, presumably. I'm like, cool. I played Metal Gear Solid 1. I can play Metal Gear Solid 2. Be ready for the remake of 3. The optimal way to experience that game. I can play Ghost of Tsushima and go right into Ghost of Yote. I'm excited. I was surprised. I did not think we were going to get an honest-to-God tentpole first-party announcement at this state of play, so it ended on a high note for me.
Ghost of Tsushima, as I've talked about recently in the podcast, is a game that does so much well and uniquely, but there are just some major issues with it that make long-term play sessions just completely untenable for me. And I've restarted the game 3 times and have not been able to really come close to beating it. It's just, I fall off it quick. There's just a lot of issues with it, and I compared and contrasted to a much older Assassin's Creed game, and there was so much that those games do that I think, oh man, if they could implement some of what works in these third-person action games and really streamline what they're trying to do with this world, it's got to be one of the greatest fucking games ever. But they're really far from that right now. I mean, dude, Ghost of Tsushima barely scraped better reviews than like Infamous Second Son. Like, it is a really low-scoring Sony exclusive.
Did you play Infamous Second Son?
I did. I really liked it.
Yeah, those games are fucking great. Like, that's not a criticism to me to outscore like a very good game. I love the Infamous games.
Well, when the expectation is a 95, okay, Astrobot, and you're pulling an 82, like it's, there's a giant chasm between like what they're delivering versus the expectation. So the sequel has a chance to like fix a lot of those issues, and I hope it does.
Chances it actually hits 2025.
I'm going to say good.
Yeah, it feels reasonable. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima was 2020.
They got nothing else on the first party slate.
I mean, they've got a slew of remasters and half remaster ports from PS4, but yeah, like you said, it's nothing new. Wolverine isn't next year. They would have said so by now if it was, right? Like,
the timing of this was interesting. Again, this morning there was this cancellation of all the previews for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I wonder if that just has something to do with this particular event and they were trying to avoid this, or if it says something bigger about the state of that game or the company. I don't know.
I just wonder if someone like high up got like legal stuff going on or something, because that's happened before and that's caused similar sort of knee-jerk repercussions as far as canceling preview coverage, canceling showing up to TGS, which they had already paid for. That's like a cheap investment for them to like close up booth space, which I'm pretty sure they're doing, but I'm not exactly totally familiar. I'm just filtering through what's been read and said, so I'm not exactly sure. I don't think it's got anything to do with Ghost of Yotei. I think that is baseless, but it is interesting at the very least.
I can tell you, I'm hoping for a delay for obvious reasons.
Sure, you want it to be the best game it possibly can, so that when you buy it day one, you finally get the perfect experience playing as the lady that I don't think has a name yet, and then Yusuke, who is historically accurate. The people on the internet will tell you so.
I'm done defending Ubisoft. I've done too much of it lately.
100%. Absolutely, whatever's happening within that company is earned. It's deserved. I think the fact that people in the Fantasy Critics server legitimately thought that they may have pulled it to like address issues of historical accuracy is the most asinine thing I've ever heard in that server. Or I'm like, yes, the game where you fist fight the fucking Pope is going to pull the game because poor people didn't have umbrellas in Japan. That's going to get them to delay and cancel all preview coverage.
In the 11th hour, in the 11th less than a month away from
hour, after they've already had their first big media blitzes for this game and the cover stories. Like, absolutely unfucking hinged take. Some people like legitimately who were thinking like, yeah, this is the thing they're going to do. Or like people have, they found that it's more than just the one thing. I went, you are definitely telling on yourself right now, pal. You are definitely telling on yourself right now.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's like some weird low tier brain rot, but that wasn't the only thing shown at this state of play. EJ, what else sticks out to you from your time watching the 49 or 40 minutes, whatever it was?
Yeah,
41 action.
Yeah, way too many damn minutes. It interrupted my Mario time this afternoon. Astrobot DLC.
So this was known about, correct? Like we knew that they're going to be adding speedrun stuff, and like what else was shown from this trailer? I didn't actually watch the trailer because I don't really care, but you tell me what stuck out to you.
More levels, more collectibles, and some more VIP bots, which is cool. That was the best thing about Astrobot, were the VIP levels, the VIP bot levels. So I like speedruns. It's free, so I'm going to play this, but also I'm like, man, this seems like it was probably, I don't know, maybe it wasn't ready. It just seems like, okay, they got to string us along, keep us engaged, eke out a few more sales in 6 months when this drops or whatever. And I'm sure the Game of the Year edition that comes out inevitably is going to be a really quality 22-hour package or whatever.
It sounds like this isn't the only thing they're going to be releasing either. Just the way that they phrased it, they're like, we're really looking forward, here's some stuff, and we're really looking forward to telling you about some more stuff. More Astrobot equals good, as far as I'm concerned. And it looks like these levels are all based around one of the specific power-ups, which means there will be a monkey hands level, EJ. I'm sorry to tell you. It was clear in the trailer. There is a monkey hands level. But it looks cool. It looks cool. And yeah, there's 10 new bots. There's some Helldivers bots, which is like hilarious and neat. That it's just like, that's like really recent. I like that. And it's out this year. It's out in fall.
Is this the Game of the Year frontrunner?
No.
No, of release titles, Rebirth still is. I stand by that. Of the titles that are out so far.
Definitely gonna win Best Family Game.
Until it is given to Zelda for some reason anyway.
Oh, goddamn. Zelda will be out at the time of this. No, it'll come out tomorrow at the time of this release. Anyway.
If you look hard enough on the internet, it's out right now.
It's true. I saw that.
Is it
Impressions?
really? How does this keep
Pretty
happening?
good.
Because they send out review code and unscrupulous fellows share that on the internet
People are getting Amazon
for clout.
deliveries early. Like,
Where's my fucking early delivery? Come on, QVC. Where you at?
Target. Oh no, you got QVC, dude. No,
You're gonna get it in 2 weeks.
No.
Well, I did get it for $40.
You're gonna get Astro DLC before you get Zelda.
For $40, I can wait.
That's fair. We got the Horizon double whammy here. We got a Horizon Zero Dawn remastered.
Yes.
Listen, dude, I'm fine with this. Horizon is a 7-year-old game. We've had the sequel. I'm totally fine with a game that didn't get a very robust PS5 patch.
You playing on PC with mods?
Whatever. Platinum trophy, man. I never got the platinum for this. So I'm going to go back for the $9.99 upgrade for current owners. I'm going to go back and I'm going to play the complete version of this game looking all sexy and pretty. And they even said that like over 10 hours of
New dialogue,
mocap was redone.
Revoiced performances.
I think that's really interesting. I mean, this is a fine update. I'm totally cool with this for a game that I want to replay. I bought Horizon Forbidden West day one and played 2 hours of it and never went back to it because I felt like I needed to replay the first game and I just never did. So
you're telling me they George Lucased it like within 7 years of making it the first time? They've got to keep redoing stuff. It's just strange. That's all.
I would be not very pleased about this. Like 7 years is not a long time. I know it hasn't had a PS5 patch. There's no like upgrade path, quote unquote. No, like it cannot be helped by playing it on a PS5. But the $10, I love that. I love that they do that. If you've got it already, it's like, hey, we're not going to charge you full price for a game we know you already own.
Last of Us.
Give us didn't that have that had a $10 upgrade path too though? Part 2 did. I'm quite certain it did because I remember talking about that when they did it last time. If it wasn't that, it was another. Okay, there we go. It's like I'm pretty damn sure it was. I like that they do this. It's like, hey,
part 2, I think they did, but I think part 1 they did something different because
part 1 didn't
like
have it.
Thing.
Yeah, part 1 got something totally different. But part 2, it was a $10 upgrade path this January for the deluxe edition.
And that was also more substantial because they added like the roguelike thing.
Yeah, and lost levels and director commentary.
Substantial.
Well, you know what I mean. It's more than just like, hey, here's some textures.
But I'm excited. I own this on PS4 and have never played it. And now I have a $10 option to play the remaster. Finally make good on this fucking disc I've had for 6 years. And EJ, we can
Top 100.
rap about it. I know. I gotta play it.
It's a really goddamn good game. It is. I'm excited to revisit it. We also got Lego Horizon Adventures, which I am uniquely invested in. Okay. Having picked this up for cheap. November 14th.
Excellent.
Day one on Switch, which could hurt the reviews for those following along the Fantasy Critic League. I'm a little worried about that. I don't know. Lego games are such a hit or miss thing. This being a tie-in with a beloved Sony property, I have no clue how to read this game. It looks cool. It looks like a really fun action platformer. It looks like Lego, which I have a soft spot in my heart for.
Looks like an 81. Perfectly cromulent, very enjoyable.
I'll take it.
Not going to blow your socks off. And
I'll take that all fucking day.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. But the Switch scores could have an outsized impact on that, though.
Yeah, we'll see if this gets a $10 upgrade for Switch 2. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, baby. Baby. Oh, my God. We had those Switch leaks this week that we have not talked about on the podcast. Oh, my gosh.
Oh my God.
Nick even shared them in the Discord, friends. This is unheard of.
This is real. This is real.
Yeah, if Nick the dog Durheim is dropping leaks in the Discord, you know his attention is peaked.
No, it smells good. It smells like a cromulent, like you said earlier, Chris, a cromulent leak. But we could get Grinched again. I also said that.
We could. Digital Foundry broke it down, and they're reliable and not very sensationalist, and they are pretty convinced that what we saw was real, which makes sense. We're getting so close to the inevitable release of this console. It looks like Switch 2. That's great. But stay on the state of play. Nick, Monster Hunter Wilds. What haven't we seen from this game that they showed us today? Anything?
They showed the flagship. They showed that white wraith. That's like the big beefy boy. That is the thing that you see when you pick up the cover, you pick up the box in the store, you go to Target, you look at the shelf that's got one box copy, and then you ask the person, hey, can I buy this? They're like, well, let me go check in the back. And then they check in the back and they ain't got nothing. So you just have to go home and download it like an idiot. But this is what you see. This is the face of this game. Previous titles, you had Nergigante for Monster Hunter Worlds. I can't remember the name from Rise, but it was like a big purple dragon guy, and it was very like Japanese, and that was like the vibe of that game. And this one is like, I didn't get a good shot of it because it was very active. It's very like story heavy. This is like reveal trailer. It's cinematics. It's like the hype stuff. It's playing the music. It's got the actually fairly decent performance in the English VA, but like still nothing to write home about. But you know, it's just the story that drags you along for the first 10, 15, 20 hours that you're playing this game, and then you go on to play it for 350 hours after that because you're going to be playing it over and over and over and over. It's Destiny raids, it's Phantasy Star Online, it's the repeats. I want to do this hunt. This is a combination of monsters I haven't fought before in this order, and I gotta get my horns, I gotta get my talons and scales and skin this bastard so I can make a cool coat. But no, it was nothing revelatory in the gameplay aspects that they showed. It was most just like, hey, check out where you're going to be. Here's like 3 or 4 different distinct biomes. Check it out. There's a storm. We showed that in the initial reveal last year, I think, or 2 years ago. I can't remember. It's been so goddamn long. But it seems exciting and cool. And I knew that it would be exciting and cool as soon as it was announced. So this was nothing like huge for me. I watched it. I was like, that seems nice. I will enjoy playing this game next year when it comes out. If I can like wrangle some boys together to actually beat up some monsties, because damn, it's a lot of fun playing through these games by yourself. But it is a lot more fun to play through with some homies.
You're playing on PC?
I do not own a PS5, so yes.
Yet.
So there won't be any cross-platform things happening?
I supremely doubt it. Like, it would be really cool. I don't understand. So I think it makes so much sense to me. It's difficult to do cross play. Like for me to be playing on PC, you need to play on PS5, that kind of thing. But if you make it so that you can move your save across between PS5 and PC, you're going to sell multiple copies of that same game, brother. Come on. Do the smart thing, Capcom. Cashcom. Capitalist com, let's do it.
I was gonna ask you, is this a series where you can just step in and go, okay, they're gonna well, I mean, you've said before you need a human to onboard you.
Onboarding? No such thing in a Monster Hunter game.
But that you could play this and have this be somebody's first Monster Hunter game. Because I love playing games that y'all like with you, but if I can't play co-op, then
it really depends on what you ask of it. I came to this game with the series with World. I think EJ, which one did you have on Wii U that I played for, I think maybe 5 minutes? Was that Try?
Try. One
Try
of
Ultimate,
the
maybe?
many re-releases of, Try Ultimate.
Yeah, exactly. Try Hard with a Vengeance. So I had barely touched it, but it's that was like a port of a PSP game, I think, or a Wii game. So it was hella clunky, but like I think all the Monster Hunter games are clunky to a point, and I think it is intentionally clunky. It's a lot of animation heavy. The things that feel good in Dark Souls when you're wielding an ultra great sword and you like do this super long wind up, and then you swing, you're still swinging, then ka-chunk. You just like bash the hell out of something, you pancake some enemy. They get that from Monster Hunter. Like that is they rip that off basically. So you get a lot of you'll understand where a lot of games got their inspiration from if you play a game like Monster Hunter, because the series, I think, still feels very true to those roots. They've sanded off a lot of those rough edges. World, like I said, was my first like real entry into it, and they onboard fine. Like you hop in. There's like a lot of like the campaign doesn't really feel like a tutorial while you're playing it. It feels like a totally reasonable like go do the next thing, fight this thing. Oh, there's a big moment. Here's a big cutscene. Here's a big like reason to move forward. There's a lot of forward propulsion. It's just that they've always done a bad job of getting into the nitty gritty of here's what all the weapons do. It's very much a hands off, like you got to figure that out on your own. And honestly, I think World actually did have like GIFs. So like you could see what the moves were before you did them. Like that's pretty basic on a lot of these like action RPG kind of games. Like you had that in God of War Ragnarok even, where you see like before you jump in and like buy this thing on the skill tree, this is what the move looks like. And this is the use case in which you'd be benefiting from using it. So, and this game, all the weapons feels like an entirely different move set. It's not Dynasty Warriors where it's like plug and play. It is very like distinct and bespoke use cases, and like the way you interact with several different hunters and the way you interact with different monsters, trying to get more vertical, trying to get around the monster, trying to time things just right with your like unga bunga hammer so that you can pop them on the nose, break off their fucking horn, and then make a cool hat out of it. So it's something that requires a lot of time and patience, but I think is extremely rewarding. So Chris, I think you could get into it. It's just that you would need to either like let go and look at a guide or like have someone guide you, because I think you would get pretty frustrated with like the amount of options. Like your ADHD brain will just kick in and be like, I want to like get the best thing of all these different things. But like, no, you got to stick in a lane, man. You got to pick a weapon, stick with it. And if it ain't working out, then you turn around, go back to square one, get a different weapon. But it is very much like it requires a lot of time and patience.
The only way I play this game is if I'm playing it with you. That was the appeal of this game to me, is that it's a chance to like jump in on a fresh title and we could like discover it together. You could go like, okay, so da-da-da-da, and just like info dump shit to me about the stuff that I'm picking up and the things that we're encountering. And I could like sponge, like, what if I could play Dark Souls, like cooperatively, but apart.
Fighting the gaping dragon, but you're doing it for loot drops. And it's like that MMO grind of like, oh, I just got these things and I want these things. I'm going to use these things. And then you go back to the hub and you're like, you're cooking up, you're meal prepping before your next fight. Let's go, dude. The animations where these chef cats are making you delicious meats so that you're powered up for your next fight rules.
Come on.
It's so tight. The Meowscular chef? Yes.
I complain about the onboarding, but it's like really any game that is explicitly
Destiny
meant to
is
be
the exact
multiplayer.
same.
Yeah, Destiny, exactly. Which I had to be chirped along my first Destiny journey. Both of them, actually, both Destiny 1 and 2. Like we had to have a psycho who consumed every corner of this game religiously to like chirp us through and teach us like, no, this is the actual game. When you're not getting it if you're just playing the tutorial and playing the campaign and then being done, you're not experiencing what this game's about. Same thing with like Borderlands or any game that's meant to be played with friends. The real game opens up when you beat the main campaign or whatever. And so with Monster Hunter, I couldn't get into it. It was obtuse, and what you guys were doing, you and like Andrew Chavez and I don't know who else was playing, but I was like, I don't even know how to. I can't even hang. This is so beyond my pay grade right now, and I feel like I'm not getting what I need to be able to jump in and feel competent enough to play with you guys. So maybe this is the game. If this reviews gangbusters,
it's gonna review gangbusters. Come on.
Great.
Dragon's Dogma 2 got like an 87. Like, come on. This is gonna break 90 for real.
then if it's a game that's easy for a newbie with little patience to jump into, I'm down to jump into it and play. I just need that loop to hook me.
That's what I haven't seen yet. Like, how does this differ substantively from World and from Rise? Like, how is the loop really changed, or is it just bigger locations? Like, are these locations all connected? Can I go out on a hunt, start in the desert, go to like the frosty tundra, and end up in a swamp? Like, what is that? What does that look like? How does that affect the loop? How does that affect like the typical sort of time limit aspect of these games? It is very arcadey. It is very play it again, play it again, play it again. I don't know what they're changing in that regard. I don't think they've shown that. I think they've like teased at it, but I don't know if they've showed it, they haven't shown it in a way that makes sense to someone like me who is a fan and who keeps track of these things, not like diligently. I'm not checking the YouTube channel. I'm not like looking for updates in that way. I'm not that sick, but they haven't done a good enough job communicating to me what is different besides bigger, shinier. Check out the volumetric fog. It looks so much bigger. This world is so huge, and like the water effects. Wow, they really splashed and crunched the hell of the YouTube compression on this one. Boy.
This is dated for February
28th.
Okay, there you go. We got some Dynasty Warriors, which I don't think we need to talk about.
DLCs, some like indies that were fairly notable. Like you pointed out. What was the one you pointed out? Is that an indie technically? I don't know. I don't even know who's publishing. Archie-Age Chronicles.
Arc-Age Chronicles, which I guess you said was a sequel to something.
Yeah, just looking up Archie-Age or whatever how you pronounce that. It is a sequel to a 2013 Korean MMO.
It's Arch-Age. The second A is Arch-Age. This looked kind of God of War inspired action,
but also a hunting game because there's like multiplayer and you're fighting big bosses.
No idea how this is going to land, but it looks competently made, which I cannot say for the other action game, which was called Hell Is Us, which is Metro
Atomic Heart. Atomic Heart.
Dark Souls. Atomic Heart was the BioShock.
Wanted to be BioShock.
Yeah.
It smacks of that level of non-competence. Like, we get what you're trying to do, but this is not. And like, ooh, that's going to be really appealing for somebody who doesn't know any better in a fantasy critic league next year for sure. And that game's going to get like a 76.
Is Brendan or Brandon going to pick this up next year? And will it be in the draft? Yes. It looks bad. And I thought it was like a Lords of the Fallen, and then he pulls out a fucking computer, and I was like, wait, what? This is not a Dark Souls ripoff, but also it is?
It's got a lot of like visual flair, like it's trying to kind of evoke Death Stranding.
Dude, I thought that too.
Has a bit of Remnant in it as far as like the mobility and like the third person sort of action, less deliberate movement of like a Dark Souls, but still trying to evoke a little bit of that feeling with like the slower parry attack kind of combat dance, but very minimal as far as enemy design uniqueness. Like it seems like they found an aesthetic they wanted to go for, and they maybe like that was just the budget that they had. Like I don't know how big this team is. Clearly it's like they're trying to punch above weight as far as yeah, I mean, it's definitely like they're shortcutting a little bit, like, which is fine. Like, I think that's a totally reasonable thing to do. It's just so tough to make a game that looks AAA in a lot of aspects, but then does not have that extra step of like the uniqueness and the like artistry of all this like variety. You know, like a bigger team with more money could have made this game into something like really notable, but it's just really tough to be impressive in that sphere without like, if this game looked like a Switch game, it probably would be received better, you know? Like if this game looked anime and like kind of shitty, like it would be like, okay, this is totally in keeping with like what the rest of this game is doing, and it would be like better received.
But it's trying to punch
it
higher.
Has so much fidelity.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know why that is. It's just like a weird sort of cognitive dissonance that you have. It's like seeing a crappy hamburger at like a 5-star restaurant. You're like, this is what you get at the 5-star restaurant. Like, no, Like, I'd be fine with a crappy hamburger from like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
You know
I'll eat
what you're
that.
getting.
I'll eat that slop every damn day. I
That's
know
a
what I'm getting.
7 out of 10.
Slop.
I'll eat that 7 out of 10 anytime I want.
Exactly.
7.5 if you get it like absolutely fresh. Yeah, I thought the same shit. I thought for a second it was Death Stranding too. Just with like the look of the guy and the way that his like cloak's hanging on him and he's got like shit on his back when he's running around. I was like, is this Death Stranding? Like, is this like a hard pivot for this series? This is like a weird place for them to tell us this. I'm like, oh no, it's something else.
It's like, it's a lot of emphasis on the fabric pleating of this man's weird cowl / poncho. Trying to bring ponchos up? Like, I don't know, man. I think a poncho is just a bad cloak.
Pal World made an appearance after they were in the news this week being sued by Nintendo. Finally, we thought this was coming a long time ago.
In Japan, which is notable because lawsuits in Japan generally don't get brought unless they are absolutely certain they're going to win, because that is a very different litigation system over there.
I wonder if it being included in this presser or this event says anything. I mean, is Sony not? You think if Sony was like, "Oh, this is the big bad Nintendo is coming for him," like,
I think what it says, because I'm sure that they had this slate lined up, dialed in for months now.
yeah,
Like,
totally.
This is totally known. Pal World going to other consoles besides Xbox has been known for a while. I think this is just showing. This is a launch trailer, so like it's coming out soon, like this week maybe. I think it's more just Nintendo and Pokemon companies saying, hey, they're about to hit another platform. This seems like a really lucrative time to finally bend them over and ream them for what they're worth. And they're going after them for patent, which is like, video game companies can patent ideas, which is silly and dumb. And generally, they do not go after each other for patent troll kind of litigation, because they can also get countersued, and it's messy. It's a big. I've heard it described as a mutually assured destruction method of like making sure nobody copies you, you don't copy them. Everyone's doing okay, everyone's above board, no one's pissing each other off, then it's fine. But Pal World took it a step too far. They pissed off Nintendo, and they just waited until they had enough money to make it worth their time. And they've already won litigation for patent infringement, like not too long ago, against a mobile game that I can't remember.
Oh, boy.
About.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll send a link in the chat sometime, and we can talk about it more there. But yeah, I was reading an article about how they've already patent trolled another company, and it was a settled. It didn't have a winner or loser. They settled, but I think the settlement was public, so that like they paid a percentage to Nintendo to license their patent from them in perpetuity, and then they eventually stopped selling the game because it's a mobile game, and they eventually shut down. But I think that's what they're going for here. They're going to want 8% of Pal World's profits for the unknown future,
Sure,
and they'll probably get that.
probably. There's some pretty questionable similarities.
Which is not patented. Those are copyrights. Just different. Patents, they will patent the idea of throwing a ball and releasing a monster from the ball and then
Interesting.
fighting with that monster. Because they totally ripped that off. I mean, they did rip that off from Arceus. Like, that is a thing. That was a gameplay mechanic in Arceus, and then Pal World came along and did the same thing. And guess what? The same company has a total ripoff of Breath of the Wild, and you can go look at that. I think it's called Craftopia. And it has like the exact same gliding physics and animation and everything from Breath of the Wild. It is like uncanny. It is brazen. And, like, I don't like the idea of Nintendo suing a company over patent infringement, because that sucks. But also, fuck these guys. I don't really care about them either. It's just like, you get what's coming a little bit. Like, you talk shit, get shot. It's going to happen. So it sucks, but I can't feel too bad about it.
I want to say it sets a bad precedent, because Nintendo, the bolder they get with smaller and smaller creators, and there's already, there's so many issues with the way they handle the way their content is talked about and the way that they police social media and YouTube in particular, and obviously shutting down fan games, that are using their IP. And recently they've been coming for these emulator sites, like fucking Vim's Lair just shut down. Vim's Lair, the untouchable, the legendary Vim, gone.
Wasn't that scene drama, though?
I thought this was the threat from the big end, because they also shut down, what's the other website that they got a cease and desist just before that?
I know a couple of these has been scene drama where it's like one person trying to big dick it and be like, actually, this is my website and I'm going to stop working on it and blah, 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 you know? So yeah, shit like that happens. And yeah, if you're hosting ROMs of Nintendo games, it's going to happen. Like you're going to get shut down. Like don't get too big. Don't like beat your chest about it. Don't advertise it. Don't make money off of it for God's sake.
Definitely don't
The
do
Nintendo's
that.
usually going to leave you alone. Usually. I mean, they can't go after everybody. They don't want to go after everybody, but some people like get too brazen. They think they're untouchable.
Right. Well, that's like you said, you know, Pal World, they were doing it very brazenly. There's some questionable stuff in that game.
And like bragging about it in like Discords and stuff. It's like, come on, dudes.
Was it Yuzu who got shut down and they were like running a
Yes.
Patreon making all that money? Like
That's, yep.
Yeah,
and it
Patreon.
sucks.
And they advertised that they could play Tears of the Kingdom before launch and that they had paid for patches to play Tears of the Kingdom. And guess what? All that was brought up in the court documents because yes, they will. Yeah, I mean, for real, don't paint a fucking target on your back. Like, just be cool, you know?
Just be cool. It sucks because these are people who are doing good work for the preservation community and for the longevity of a hobby that we all love. You know, Vim posted in June that he had been asked on behalf of Nintendo, Sega, Lego, and the ESA to remove these games, and so he just completely shut down for good. And you know, we can go in circles about the conversation about like, well, he is hosting, you know, illegal ROMs on the website for people to acquire illicitly. And it's like, dude, these are games that these companies don't give a fuck about unless it's to like bastardize in some film adaptation or to remake, reboot, and sell for $70 in some lifeless husk of what used to be a good video game. Like, if these companies gave a shit, they would do something about it. But it's up to these literal individuals, one man running a fucking website, the website, to access all of these versions of these games that don't exist otherwise. So I don't like Nintendo swinging their dick around. I don't fucking like it. Take your billions and shut up, God damn it. No one's hurting you or your bottom line.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, I don't really care if Vim's Lair gets shut down because they weren't my go-to. If I want to download a game, I'll get it off Internet Archive or like I'll find somewhere else to get it. Like, these things are still being hosted. You can still find them. They just go after the big heads of the Hydra because they can't get all of them, but they have to make like a stance. They have to make a statement. And that's all it is. They're just making a statement. They're saying, yeah, big Nintendo still got the big swinging dick and we will stamp you out if we have to. Like, that's just what they're saying. And like, it sucks. It is them bullying the little guy, I guess, but it's also, don't draw so much attention to yourself. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Be fucking cool.
Be cool, man. God. After this, well, I don't know if it's after there or before. I don't know the order we're going in here. We did get an Alan Wake Lake House date. It is 2024.
Surprising.
Bren, prepare yourself to spend $19 on this to beat Chris. This is the only other thing this year that you're going to be able to fill Hollow Knight slot with, so have fun.
Why would you put this on the air? Why would you?
We were literally watching this together as the first thing that was said when this popped up.
That's really funny. It is one game that is on my monitor list as we proceed through the remainder of the year. I've got others. I'm looking at it.
A lot of irons in that fire, huh?
Low key, actually, yeah. Like, and I mean, I don't think any of them are. I don't see anything that I know is gonna pull like an 85. But I see some that I'm like, this could.
Just join the hive mind, get the altars, brother.
I am wholeheartedly rooting for you, Chris, to pull as far ahead in this competition as you can.
It's not gonna be far, unless Factorio gets no reviews. That is the only world in which I could potentially come close. My math was wrong when we talked last about this, EJ, that I was like, I'm about to pull even with Brandon. No, I have pulled ahead, but he's still got 2 games coming out, and I've presently only got 1 slated. So I've got to get that second one filled, and then there's a Factorio counter pick. So as long as that if that doesn't score, I'll probably be okay. We will see. Speaking of Brandon, we got some Brandon bait in this for sure. With the Lunar remasters. Not not JRPGs I'm familiar with, but I bet Brandon is, and I bet he's going to be pretty
nice.
They look nice on Saturn.
Well, I don't have a Saturn, but I have a PlayStation 4.
Poser. No, yeah, so that was cool. That was cool. I love old JRPGs getting nice coats of paint and brought to modern hardware. I like that very much. I also really like that the Legacy of Kain duology is getting a remaster. Well, I should say I did like it because these are games that I have wanted to play since I was not allowed to play them when I was a child because that looks satanic. And that's M-rated. Or I don't even know if it was M-rated. It might have just been T-rated.
Probably T. From your favorite developer, though, Chris.
Well, that's it. That's it, yeah. I was so stoked.
Which one?
like,
Crystal Dynamics or Aspire?
Aspire.
I can only aspire to fail upwards as spectacularly as that company does. Time and time and fucking time again. Now I don't care. I'm not buying it. I'm fully out on them forever. After the fucking, I still want my fucking money back for KOTOR 2, you fucking sons of bitches.
Where's the Legacy of Kain restored content patch?
Ha!
I was mostly just annoyed by this Legacy of Kain trailer because they're like doing like the big graphical reveals, like look at how much better it looks. And it's like, oh, so y'all went out of the way to make new assets for the game that are supposed to look like better versions of shitty PS1 art instead of doing like a real remake of the game. Like, it's just annoying to me.
I think it looks nice. I think this is a totally fine method of remastering, and it's one that is not so labor intensive as to be ridiculous. Like, I don't think every game series or every game singular deserves or can have, that was the wrong order to say those things, but can have or deserves like the full remake treatment. Like, you know, sometimes Croc just needs to come out and look a little bit nicer and, like, you know, run at 60 on current consoles, you know, widescreen it up, sharpen up the UI, make it look
Croc.
tenable.
I'm so excited for us
But
to
we
play
do not
Croc.
need like Resident Evil up every single game from the 90s. Like that is ridiculous, and that is
Nice.
creatively bankrupt.
Unsustainable.
No, EJ,
It's unsustainable.
No.
Just brush it up, bring it to modern hardware, and move on with your lives. I'm with you, Nick. I'm with you,
Yes. Yes. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Nick. Kill it if you have to.
I have no need for that. I can play the PS1 version on any number of systems I own. Why
yeah,
do
and have
I
it look
need...
like a PS1 version. It will be crappy
It
and
still
blocky
looks like a
with a bad
PS1 version.
camera. No,
I want the right
it
stick
doesn't.
to handle the
It
camera.
looks like a PS2 version. Big difference. Huge.
Well, big difference. Nick, you're asking for too much. Camera control? Good luck.
Well, it won't be good camera control, but it won't be on the shoulder buttons like Spyro, you know?
Goddamn tank controls. Shout out to the PS1, dude.
Yeah, that's
No.
what you shout out.
Mm-mm.
You sick bitch.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Was there anything else that stood out? There's a bunch of other crap that I was completely checked out
No.
for, but nothing else that you guys give a shit
Nope,
about?
that's all I wanted
Not
to
for
talk
me,
about.
at least.
All right. So, Chris, you and I did a Borderlands watch / review. We did a nice little a curt hour on this last month, and we said, why don't we just make this a segment where we watch really bad video game adaptations and then talk shit about them?
Yeah, so when are we going to watch a really bad video game adaptation, EJ?
Wow. So we're 1 for 1 so far, apparently. Okay.
What are we going to call this segment? Let's do a little brainstorming right now. Like, I would love for us to be able to say this is the next, you know, installment of blah, blah, blah. I love a good name. What is it going to be?
Yeah. It's so easy to like stumble into someone else's like shtick, though.
Oh my goodness, this is not going to be good radio. I can't think of anything. On Letterboxd, I put together a list of video game adaptations. I kept it no sequels in a franchise, just first films in a franchise and or reboots of, for example, there's 2 Tomb Raiders on this list, but none of the Angelina Jolie sequels. So
We'll probably make exceptions because I do think it is worth visiting Mortal Kombat Annihilation because it is
Sure.
so legendarily terrible that's the only thing I've ever heard from it is how awful it is, especially after how good the first one. And I've never seen the original Mortal Kombat. I never saw Annihilation, never saw the weird HBO try. So I'm down. Whatever. It's an hour and a half of my time.
sure, I'm down to watch sequels. I just, for the sake of sussing out how we're going to do this and kind of as a jumping off point. Like, yeah, there are 5 Resident Evil movies. I like the third one. I'll keep watching those movies.
Is that when they're in the desert?
The desert, yeah, the desert one.
Why?
I think it's the third one. I like that one. I don't know.
Why are they
15.
in the desert though?
Who knows?
Is Welcome to Raccoon City on here? Because I would like that to be on here separate from the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evils.
Isn't that one animated?
No, it is live action, and it is actually
What was I thinking
a
of then?
quite good adaptation of the first 2 Resident Evil games, with one inexcusably bad thing that I think will be obvious to all of us when we watch it. But I would love for Welcome to Raccoon City to be on here, if it's not already. I don't think it is.
Oh, the Netflix one?
Listen, we'll post this list in the Discord, all right? And if there's anything glaring that we miss, I'm pretty sure this is like 95% of all video game adaptations, excluding sequels.
I think you're right.
There are not a lot of them.
And non-English releases.
In non-English releases, correct. Is this Tekken movie that I put on here from 2010, is that an English film?
That may not be in English. I think that's the same dude that did Ace Attorney.
There's a lot of white-sounding people on this cast list, so...
There sure are.
Yeah, it's English. It's English, okay.
Okay. I might be getting it mixed up with another fighting game movie that inexplicably got made. There's so many fighting game movies.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of the easiest thing to adapt.
Yeah.
What do we do in movies anyway?
It's
We
a
fight?
tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not, in the case of the recent Mortal Kombat. But we'll get there in many months.
So we started off with 1993's Super Mario Bros. Bob Hoskins, the incomparable John Leguizamo. I fucking love that guy. And Dennis Hopper, who pretty much spent this entire movie doing a Dr. Evil impression, although Dr. Evil
up
succeeded. This film, obviously, he came much later, but I was like, damn, this is just fucking Mike Myers over here.
Every time Dennis Hopper opened his mouth, I just wanted him to like slip into a Donald Trump accent, but it never happened. I was just like, that was my headcanon throughout this film.
Sure.
I just wanted to say, plumber alert.
I've been listening to Pipes all my life, Luigi.
Dude, so many good lines.
Must have been a non-union job. That one genuinely fucking took me out. I was like, holy, so straight-faced. So John Leguizamo was just right in the pocket. Like, he doesn't push too much. He doesn't like wink at it. He just lets it fly. He gets away with some line readings. And I'm like, anybody else did this, it would just piss me off and like sound terrible. How does it work when you say it? Like, it defies description.
I don't know how we want to approach these things. Whenever I am listening to something like the rewatchables or
we don't have to beat by beat. We can't.
We don't
do
have
that.
to do beat by beat, but it kind of helps to give us a blueprint and a thing to touch on as we go, like to kind of give an overview. I don't know. It's tough because otherwise we're just spinning our wheels and saying random
Perhaps
shit.
Yeah,
we could start with what we know of the source material and let that frame
The source material is fully irrelevant here, Chris.
But is it? But is it?
Yes.
surprising amount of references.
But seriously,
but like totally irrelevant and like non sequitur references of just like the word thwomp, like in the set design. Like here's a plate, there's a bomb that's like not like that is totally off script. That is just a small little plastic toy that they did for a bit at the end. The bullet bill chargers into the shoes. Like there's a lot of references and there's a lot of like, it's like they didn't get anything from Nintendo but a stack of manuals and they're like, okay, make a movie. And they just got really drunk and did a lot of coke and were like, okay, well, we're just gonna like Mad Max the fuck out of this thing and do some like 90s schlock action and like some cool actual like set design and chase sequences that are a lot of fun and iconic moments that for some reason you remember from childhood. Like it is like peak kid food. This movie is like just dangling key. It's like shaking keys in front of a small baby. Like this movie entire from start to finish.
There's more than I remembered though, and it was interesting. Like we literally just watched this like 2 years ago,
last year.
Like a year and a half. And for whatever reason, this time just thinking about it is like, okay, we are watching video game adaptations. Not that we're like watching the Mario movie we don't talk about. Now that there's a Mario movie that we can talk about. there's a surprising amount of stuff that I was like, oh, like, okay, yeah, like I see what you did there. And like a lot of it is referential, like the bars they call like bullet bills, you know, and yeah, the thwomp shoes and the little charges and the bomb and everything. But like, okay, I could see where they're like trying to make some of these decisions where they're like thinking about, okay, like you said, they rip a big fat fucking line of Coke and they're like, how do we turn this, all these polygons
No polygons, just pixels and sprites, my dude. 1993, this movie came
You're
out.
right.
They were working on Super Mario World. They may have gotten some hints into Super Mario Land, or I guess Land was 89, but Land 2, I think that was like around 92, 93. Like 4 or 5 games plus like Donkey Kong stuff, which they didn't even touch. They could have done like there's no big ape.
they
Like
could have. They definitely
Scapelli
could
gets
have.
turned into a monkey at the end for like a good bit at the end there. Oh, boss, what's wrong with you?
There's stuff that I had not caught previously, and that, like I said, I could see like, oh, this is what you're thinking of. Where all you know is you're this little fucking these fucking plumbers that wear different colored clothes, and you're running around and you're jumping on like little mushroom people, and they're like just like a head
Hopping on
with
Koopas.
and they just are little headed people, and they're walking around, and you know, mushrooms are like literally in all of the bricks, and you have to hit the bricks to get the mushroom out. So the mushroom is everywhere. The fungus is everywhere. So they extrapolated like pulling mushrooms out of bricks that you hit with your head into there's fungus all over the Mushroom Kingdom. And I'm like, okay, all right. And you collect coins. It's very important that you collect coins. So like, great. So it's a late capitalistic fucking hellscape where even the old lady on the street is,
Give me your Koopa coins.
yeah, is shocking them with a, do you have a weapon? It's just so fucking funny. And the Bowser's minions are running around with fire flower guns, basically. Like they are just flamethrowers when they're firing them, but then when they cut away from them, there's like they're moving. They are firing fireballs. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like it never occurred to me to go like, oh, that's literally a fire flower. I just never thought about it as a fire flower before. And the fact that like they're getting ready to go like infiltrate Bowser's tower, and they're like, I'm just literally like, son of a bitch. They're literally in Bowser's tower. Like they went into the biggest building, just like you do at the end of World X7. At the end of a World of Mario, you go into the bigger building, and now you're in Bowser's pad. And they're like going through Bowser's pad, which is the biggest fucking tower that's in the level. And I'm like, oh.
And then they drive a car into the desert.
And then they drive a car into the desert. And there's a lot of it, you know, we'll get there in terms of like production design stuff. But I was kind of like, I sort of see the thought process of some of these things in a way I hadn't previously. Doesn't maybe like appreciate them more necessarily. But it does kind of like crack me up a little bit that I could see that there was a thought process in a way that like it never occurred to me to look for previously. Oh, and the jumping, they have to jump. And if they're going to jump really high, they need some kind of augmentation. So these little like power boots that you can like jump. Although I will say not one time
Underutilized.
is anyone jumped on in this film. And when I was watching the scene where he's like about to bust
Missed
all the
opportunity.
fucking Guidettes out of the Bowser jail with the what, and I'm like, oh my God. Is he going to jump on a Goomba? I was like, he's like right down there. He's going to totally jump on them. I didn't realize they did that. And then he swings from the light and kicks them. And I'm like, it was right there. It was your opportunity.
I want to preface whatever will come of this conversation with, I think this is probably as good or better than any non-Star Wars, non-Back to the Future science fiction films from the 80s. And yes, that includes your Terminators and your Aliens, which
Jurassic Park
was 93.
This was also
This was
93.
I'm saying, I'm comparing to the 80s, which is very much...
Yeah, has the budget of 80s.
Well, listen, had a $48 million budget, which was apparent. Honestly, this movie does not look cheap. Only made $38 million, which is obviously a failure. But this movie is it turns into nightmare fuel, so like I don't know exactly who it's for, but like for the most part, this is a very competent kids movie. It's very well made. It's over the top. There are questionable decisions being made aesthetically, and obviously the story is
Constantly.
a little
fetish
goofy.
bar that they go to, or the cop in the station having like a high heel and like torn tights on his shoulder the entire time when we're like watching
So
it process
awesome,
them. I
dude.
was
So
like,
cool.
this is so tight.
It is pretty well acted. It is very well edited. Like the pacing of this film was like surprisingly good.
Really good ADR. Like obviously they had to dub in all of the conversations every time they're in a car. Like that's all just like additional stuff that they phoned in, and pretty good. Like it's cornball. It's cheesy. The weird little like the high five thing that they do is like forced as hell. It's so dumb. It's just like we need like a 90s thing. They need like a special handshake. It's like, oh my God. And Bob Hoskins is just acting to the rafters, and bless him.
Hey, dude.
John Leguizamo, iffy, but Bob Hoskins really carries it. He's got the heart. He really makes the Mario Bros feel like bros.
Amen. I don't know how this didn't become, I mean, it's kind of become a cult classic for the meme, but like legitimately a decent movie. It completely failed adaptation on every level. Okay.
Yes.
Obviously. That goes without saying. But people think about it, it's like it's like unmentionable. You know, this was like such a black mark on Bob Hoskins' career. Like it was obviously a box office failure and it was kind of ludicrous, but like this is probably better than any of the Ninja Turtle sequels. Like I don't think that's that controversial. Saying people fucking love those movies, especially the second one, which is terrible. So like I don't know how this became such an unspeakable thing, and the rights issues, you know, this has been buried. You can't fucking get it anywhere. Like I just don't get how its reputation has grown to what it is, and it is just such an awful thing. This is a perfectly fine. Like I tried to watch Big Trouble in Little China, bored out of my fucking mind. I did watch Aliens, and I ripped it apart on my Letterboxd review. Ripped it apart. Don't understand how that kind of shit has become iconic in science fiction or in the action genre. This movie is also like not amazing and kind of boring, but like again, the bell curve of shit from the 80s, and this is obviously very inspired by the 80s, early 90s, whatever. Like it's fine. I just don't understand how we got to where we got to with this film, other than it being a failed adaptation and Nintendo was like, whoa, this is not our fucking image.
That's why, because it killed any future Nintendo property getting adapted for 40 fucking years. 30 years, excuse me. 30 goddamn years between that film and the Illumination Mario Brothers.
And guess what motherfucking Illumination does? They take the very premise from this film and adapt it.
Yep. It's just, guess what? Mario Isekai. Let's do it.
Portal under Brooklyn. Now we're in a new world. Oh my God. How do we translate these plumbing skills that we have to this new world? I said that
It's the
shit
same
last
movie.
year. Yes.
I know we did. I know we drew
Yes.
this comparison, but it's a great idea. It's a perfectly reasonable and hilarious science fiction premise. A portal under Brooklyn for these plumbers to go through.
And this movie doesn't split up the brothers. They're hanging out with each other
You're
the entire
goddamn
time.
right.
The Mario
fucking
Bros,
sidekicking
dude.
Luigi
Bros.
for the entire film. Listen, I am an unapologetic lover of this movie. It was a staple in our household. My mom has the fucking DVD. She's had it for years. We have watched this movie many, many times. It was a comfort film. Like you said, the fucking jingling keys in front of the kid's face, Nick. Exactly. As an adult watching this movie, and specifically watching it this time, not just for the meme, like we did last year, but looking at like, how is this, honestly? Like, what do I think of this film that I'm watching right now? Especially after watching Borderlands. This movie does not deserve the hate it gets. It does not deserve the rating it has on Letterboxd. It does not deserve to be the pariah of the video game adaptation world. Everybody in this movie is fully fucking committed to what they're doing. Like you said, to the rafters, Bob Hoskins. And he publicly, so fucking publicly, said it was the biggest piece of shit he ever did in his career. Literally was like, they're like, anything you regret? He's like, Mario Brothers movies. Mario Brothers movie. Fucking disaster, fucking idiots. That's a direct quote. That's a direct fucking quote. He is an actor's actor. This is not Cate Blanchett sighing her way through Borderlands until her check clears. This man was risking it for the biscuit. He was there. Dennis Hopper eating the scenery every single time he's there.
Fiona Shaw.
Fiona Shaw,
on,
Andor's mom, Aunt Petunia, who paper fucking thin. No character whatsoever, but she is so fucking
But also
committed to
way
it.
more than you would expect from like a Ducher antagonist as well. Like, the subterfuge of her like going behind Koopa's back and like doing the thing that he's like too distracted with the princess and all that stuff. Like, that was actually like way more nuanced than it like had any right to be.
Yeah. And she's just sneering and like just so like intense and like committed and engaged with it. Like, everybody in this fucking movie.
She stabs Yoshi.
She stabs Yoshi. How could you? And also, we'll get there when
Yoshi
it comes
rules.
like
I want that Yoshi puppet.
all the practical animatronics
The
in this movie
Goomba heads.
are fucking great. They're expressive. They're lifelike. Like, Yoshi looks incredible. He looks incredible. You're telling me we can't get a fucking Psycho in Borderlands that looks like that in 2024 with a quadrillion dollar budget? And okay, anyway. Yeah, everybody is so fucking committed to this. That is how you elevate terrible source material and a god fucking awful script, is by just saying, fuck it, taking a shot and going into the office and getting the job done. And son of a bitch, that is what they did in this movie.
They sold. I think back to the date scene, the double date with the bros and Daisy and Daniela, and just like the ridiculous script that they're given where it's like, oh yeah, I was abandoned as a kid. I wear this meteorite, like this is the rock necklace. I never take it off because I was abandoned. This is all I have for my mom. And Luigi's like, I was abandoned too. This is us bonding. But like, it was also kind of nice to have that like little like injection of backstory and like some history and like, what is Luigi and Mario's relationship outside of Luigi being like a fuck around?
Mario is Luigi's mom.
And Mario is Luigi's mom
and my
his
father,
dad, his
and
uncle.
my grandfather,
And his
my
uncle,
uncle, my brother, all in one.
Like, this is the first time until like Luigi's Mansion that we get personification and characterization of these playable characters in a video game. So they like, all they do is face left and right and jump on Koopas. And this they took a swing. They tried to do a thing. They made choices to have Luigi be this character and Mario be this character, and like that's their dynamic. Like Mario being the brave and like just doing the right thing, like, come on, let's do this, like, but being doubtful of Luigi's like belief in the impossible and like the stupid. And Luigi's into like these weird conspiracy theory TV shows and stuff, and he's like just a kooky weirdo. So that's nice. I mean, it's nice that they made choices. Like, they could have just been like two, braggadocious dudes who just they did stuff. They did it good, the right way every time. But no, like, Luigi doesn't do things right the right way. He does things right the wrong way by he's like, I got a feeling I got to turn right to go left. Mario's like, I don't know, Luigi. It's so stupid, but it works for a kid's movie.
I like that their relationship, and obviously Bob Hoskins being so much older than John Leguizamo, I like that brother relationship had a little bit of that paternal vibe where Bob was clearly like looking out for John Leguizamo, but they also still had that sort of tension that brothers have, that sibling, like, when they steal the police car and he's like, what do I do? And Luigi's like, you got to take the expressway. And he takes the tunnel and he's like, perfect. He's like, I thought you wanted me to take the expressway. And he's like, I only said that to get you to take the tunnel. It's like, that's such brother shit right there, dude. And they're knocking it out of the park. They have great chemistry together.
They're great. The Iggy and Spike duo is really great. I love Fisher Stevens, and I can't remember the other actor's name, but them being like idiots, but not like, they're not like doing a voice. They're just stupid and they're argumentative. And even when they become smart, they're still stupid and argumentative.
Stupid with bigger words.
It's beautiful.
Stupid with bigger words.
Exactly.
It is very 90s coded. Like that is such every children's
Bulk and Skull,
everything we consumed in the 90s, like those guys were in those shows or those movies. And
they wore it well.
Totally. Again, I don't know if this is just because I really don't fuck with the 80s, dude. Like, I really don't. There's nothing from that period of time that I watch and I'm like, this is good. I can sometimes appreciate it from a distance. Obviously I love Star Wars, but that grew out of the original trilogy into something very, very different with modern media in my childhood. Like, there's just so much that I try to experience, and I'm just bored. I can't. It's not for me. It's like trying to listen to rock music from, it's like hair metal. It's like there's like 2 good hair metal albums, but then it's just all the same crap, and I'm over it. So like, this might be a really bad movie. I don't know. It's not that much worse than most of the other stuff that also annoys or bores or pisses me off from that era. So do I creep up to a 3-star on this movie? Unironically, like, I don't know. I haven't got there yet.
I think it's a perfectly good movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's not great, like you said, but it's like, you may have been bored occasionally. I was never bored. I'm like watching this movie and I'm just like, yeah, this is really nice. This is just really nice to sit down and watch these things happen. Have a good chuckle when they do like the ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da during the car chase
Yes!
scene. And just like they could have sampled anything from Mario, but they decided to hone in that these are New York Italians, these Italians escaping the fuzz in Mushroom Kingdom, I guess.
I love the picture this paints also of like New York Italians, that it's like, yeah, the ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da is like apparently every Italian theme song. Also that all women want to fuck them. That Mario's got like, his Italian gal in Brooklyn, and then he's got Big Bertha, the bouncer at the Boom Boom Bar, who's all up in his mushrooms during that scene.
Oh my God.
It's like everybody wants the Italian guy. Also that Italians music dancing with their fucking
Dude,
the
absolute
Goombas
beauty,
dance.
the Goombas dance is iconic. That is an iconic scene. I think that is like one of the standout, like if you make a trailer for this movie, if you were to be like, okay, what are the standout scenes in this movie that I cut together into 30 seconds to get someone to watch this movie? You're doing the Goombas dancing in the elevator. That is top tier. It's so visually representative of the ridiculous lunacy that this movie has to offer.
Sir, the Goombas are dancing again.
Exactly. You cut to that, and then it's perfect. It writes
at the end of the movie, when they're liberated from fascist Bowser, which also, again, terrible fucking adaptation of the source material. I'm using air quotes. Bowser's totally fashy. That totally fucking tracks. But when they're free for Bowser, they're all just dancing. They just literally want to like be happy and have fun. These tiny, lizard-headed creatures with the oversized bodies, and Toad. I love what they did with Toad, where they're like, okay, so he's like a mushroom. Also rips another big fucking light of coke. So he's also a mushroom, but he's a good mushroom. So how do we like differentiate that he's a good mushroom? Like, well, what if we like slapped a harmonica on him after he gets transformed for literally no fucking reason, and have it nowhere near his mouth, but still make noise all the time? Love it. Love it.
Love Toad. Dude, just, it's such a small detail. Like it added, a minute to the movie, but him like actually showing up with the steamed vegetables for Daisy, and then getting caught on fire, and her having to save him, and her choosing to save him, and like the Iggy and Spike being like, okay, I will help you out too. Like it gives a lot of heart and character to these paper thin characters. Like they have nothing going on, but the fact that they're looking out for each other is like, it's nice. You want to root for him after that. Like that's like a hell yeah. Like I was watching this movie, I got halfway through it, and Lindsay got home from her trip, and she's like, I've never seen this. Like, and I was offering it, I'll start it over. Like I'm an hour in, there's 40 more minutes left. And then she's like, it's too late. We'll just like keep watching it. Just like catch me up. Like what's happened so far. So I fill her in.
Sit down, babe.
Because they had like just gotten into the desert. And I'm like, well, yeah, some stuff has happened. It's ridiculous. It's lunacy. But anyway, like she's watching this movie with me. And when the Toad Goomba, because she never even met Toad. She never saw him as Toad. He's just this big Goomba. It's like, why do you have a harmonica? I'm like, I don't really know. That's just his thing. So
he's a protest musician.
And he comes out with the steamed vegetables. Exactly. I was like, yeah, he's a street huckster, but he was writing anti-Koopa rhetoric. So he got arrested and turned into this thing. And he comes back with like the vegetables and gets lit on fire. She's like, oh no. And I'm like, that is exactly the response they're going for. And then Daisy saves him right after that. It's like, they kick the dog, and then you got the person pick up the dog and shelter it. It's like you have an initial, this like gut reaction. Like that is the shortcut to being like, I'm rooting for this guy. I'm rooting for Daisy.
I wanted to loop back really quick on the questionable picture this film paints of Italian Americans. Obviously with the caricature of Mario and Luigi, but also the other Italians in this film being mobsters,
Scapelli.
The Scapelli goons
Scapelli.
wearing their own merch to perpetrate fucking sabotage. Like, just fully wearing their own outfits. It's the It's just ridiculous. Anyway, okay, back to where we are right now. Chris is
Sorry,
fucking
I was
fully
waiting for that. I was waiting for that. That destroyed me last night. They're just like heads down, like running out of the tunnel with their fucking red letter Scapelli. Get out!
Chris is fucking set right now. Okay, so the aesthetic of this film, the very intricate set design and the costuming. When I was watching this today, I was thinking to myself, this is kind of a problem with the 80s and 90s. Like Back to the Future 2 did it when they go to the future and they kind of dial everything to 11 and you get this zany, goofy, ridiculous aesthetic that they're doing. Part of it is like, it's part of the shtick, but the other part of it is like, we have to do something so zany that it like reads as an obvious contrast to like, you know, that we're in the future. But I'm like, if they
we're in Bronx.
if they were to just dial it back 20%, everybody, like all the cops looking like they're in some fucking bondage film with their leather and their spikes. Like if they just dialed it back 20%.
Cyberpunk
20%.
leather daddy is the aesthetic of this film.
There's like straight up like gimp suit action going on in this movie. Like that is where they got their costuming from.
Another line of coke, just okay, we're gonna put him in a gimp suit. All the cops are gonna have spikes all over everything. Just like fetish gear all over the place.
Like half the people who live here are cops, and the other half drive garbage trucks. That is the two occupations.
That's literally New York.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, and it's like heavily Mad Max and, like you said, Back to the Future inspired. I'm sure they borrowed a lot of similar, like they borrowed stuff from those sets as well. The boots that are the boots in this movie are also used in Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. They are the prisoner boots that keep them magnetized to the ground if they need to lock down the facility. So that's a fun little shared prop for you.
So in 1990, let's just say 2, we can assume this was in production in late 91, early 92, probably. $48 million budget. That's about $107 million today, which would be a budget film by like big box office standards. No part of this movie felt budget to me. Like again, the set design was ridiculous, intricate. Again, I was impressed. I was like, this is well edited.
Even like the film stock and camera, like the way everything is presented doesn't feel cheap. It's got like they're using real equipment on this set.
Right. The various chase sequences, like it's just so easy to mess that up in post. But like again, the pacing of pretty much everything in this film is perfectly cromulent. How many times are we going to say that today? It was just totally adequate and sometimes pretty good. $48 million in 1992. I don't know what other movies cost in 1992. Like, I think the highest grossing films of that year, it was like Aladdin and like The Fugitive and like, what else was 93? Jurassic Park was 93, right?
Jurassic Park was an expensive movie.
I believe that. But like, what's like just a standard, I could look this up probably. Just a standard film in 1993. I can't imagine this was like, people talk about it like, oh my God, it was just cursed indie production. They just couldn't do what they wanted with the film. I think they did exactly what they wanted with this movie from beginning to end. This was somebody's vision, and it's a horrifying vision, but I think they did exactly what they wanted.
Want me to give you some 1993 movies?
Hell yeah.
Via Box Office Mojo, you got Jurassic Park, The Fugitive, The Firm, Sleepless in Seattle, Mrs. Doubtfire, Indecent Proposal, In the Line of Fire. All of those movies got over 100 million.
Returns, not budgets, you're talking. They're
Or
box
gross.
office returns. Okay.
Yes.
What's their
And then,
budget?
yeah, like you said, budget. Like Jurassic Park, I can probably look that up and see what the budget was. 63 million for Jurassic Park. So 48 is like creeping up into the big leagues.
Wow.
If 63 is like creme de la creme of 93, like that's got to be the most expensive movie of 1993 to make, right? Like there's no way.
You would think.
I guess Aladdin might have been because there's like a lot of people working on that, but no, budget of Aladdin was 28 mil. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's got to be the most expensive movie made in 1993. You don't always get budgets, but just looking at like openings and returns, those were like the big winners. And yeah, scrolling down, it made less money than Hocus Pocus or Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, Nightmare Before Christmas. Dude, there's a lot of good movies in 1993.
93 kind of
Shout out
fucks.
to 1993.
Sandlot.
I put the Sandlot on the other day and fell asleep to it. I didn't finish it, but underrated film, I think. Not underrated, under-talked about.
You know what made more money than Super Mario Brothers? Like one above it on this list. Mario Bros hit 74 out of the year. Coneheads made more money than Super Mario Bros.
I will brook no Conehead slander on this podcast. That movie's so fucking underrated. That is such a fucking funny movie. I just watched that again a couple years back when we were in Utah. Funny ass fucking movie.
How about Beethoven's Second?
Oh, boy. Oh,
The
boy.
second movie with the dog.
As it pertains to Super Mario Bros. 1993, Chris, is there a favorite scene, a standout scene for you?
I really like when they finally get face to face with Koopa and they just, I don't know, like I love the bomb. I love how they like slow play the bomb and then they build that up and it's just tiny thing. And like when it gets underneath Koopa at the end, it's wearing Reeboks just fucking because they can, have the bomb be wearing painted on Reeboks. I love
thought
that.
you were going to talk about the scene in the jail where he's posing as a lawyer and he says, oh yeah, that King Koopa, he's a real evil egg-sucking son of a snake.
Egg-sucking son of a snake. He's like, we want to talk to this goofball. Dennis Hopper's like, I don't think you want to do that. And I'm like, uh-oh, guys, I'm literally sitting here talking on my TV. Guys, you're talking to him right now. Guys, don't do it. That's Koopa.
Okay, so
He's gonna
unironically,
get you.
it's the climax scene for sure with the bomb and like the mushroom getting all gigantic size when he uses it as a shield and like swinging on the fungus and he's like shooting fireballs at him. Like Bowser's like, oh, that's what Bowser does. He shoot fireballs at you. You got to jump over the fireballs. You got to go jump over Bowser. Also, the fact that that's what I forgot from earlier with like, you low key actually did try to use a lot of Mario things. They literally blow up a bridge that Bowser is on to beat Bowser in the climax of the film. I was like, that's so funny. That's so funny. But not ironically, but my joke answer is anytime Dennis Hopper says Goomba is my favorite scene in the film. Go Goomba. And he's just delighted. It's like Goomba. Scramble the Goombas.
Hey, want a pterodactyl tail on that?
Oh, yeah, where's my pizza?
make it
and then,
spicy.
sir, your pizza's here. Not now. Like that nice like list of 3 where it's like, orders a pizza. Where's my pizza? And then, sir, your pizza's here. Like,
Hook, line, and sinker.
so
Yeah.
stupid, but so good. And he's so committed. He's like, I want this, but not now. Not now. Not right now.
I don't know. Maybe later. I'm kind of busy. My standout is a joke one because I lost it when this happened. But when Fiona Shaw finally gets that little chunk of meteorite into the big meteor and she gets absolutely launched backwards and turned into a skeleton in the wall. And then Luigi turns and says, wow, she really leaves an impression. And then the skeleton just goes,
Yeah.
it just drops its jaw. I dropped my jaw because I was cackling. That was absolutely comedic perfection. No notes. I just watched that on loop for 87 minutes.
You know what I love about this movie? And obviously, we will never be able to revisit it because there are people who are no longer with us. They set this bitch up for a sequel. Like,
oh my God.
yeah,
the
they did.
hilarious forced sequel
Yes.
tease at the
You're
end.
not going to believe it.
wait,
I
we gotta
believe
go
it.
back.
I believe.
that's character development, dude. At the beginning of the movie starts with Luigi being like, dude, you just gotta believe, man. This stuff is out
then-
there.
He believes.
He believes now.
Damn.
Okay, the Mario Bros sitting in their fucking New York apartment around a TV waiting to see their commercial. They just took this entire film to make a children's animated property. So many good ideas.
Creative bankruptcy.
Creative bankruptcy. We've said it a lot today.
And I love when Toad, when they get captured, and Toad is just like, he's on his fucking harmonica, and Luigi's just kind of like fucking vibing to it, and Bob Hoskins is definitely having some sort of cardiac event in the cage next to him, like, what the fuck is happening right now? And he gives him the quick history lesson. He's like, listen, 65 million years ago, the meteorite hit the Earth, and it split our fucking universe into 2 dimensions. And I'm like, that is so concise. That's perfect. He nailed it. That was 2 sentences. This is a great premise. Flawless.
Yeah, you don't need more. You don't need to sugarcoat it. A meteorite did hit the Earth. It did destroy a lot of dinosaurs, and guess what? Some dinosaurs weren't happy about that. Koopa.
They didn't die. They just ended up under Brooklyn.
Speaking of things that are no longer with us, I will admit to some really, really dark laughter. A lot of really dark laughter when the worlds merge and the fucking Twin Towers start disintegrating. I lost my fucking mind. Absolute fucking full bore cackle. That's like maybe my way of coping of like the first major world event that we lived through. But 9/11 memes will literally make me fucking howl like a banshee every single time someone sends them to me. I'm unashamed of that. I lived through it. I get to cope however I want. That fucking took me out. It's like, the world's emerging. And they just like get all crappy and one of them breaks apart. I'm like, oh no fucking way.
Pretty dark. Did they predict it? Did they Simpsons this shit? Did they Spider-Man 2 this shit, bro? Or is that the first Spider-Man movie?
When was that initial, like, there was like a bomb that happened inside the Twin Towers, like at the parking garage, like in the structure below. So like there's references to that. Like that's why that happened in Fight Club. Like that came out before 2001, and that was like a thing that they had to cut for future view, like showings on TV and stuff, because they like literally blow up a bunch of buildings, and like that's like the premise of the end of that movie. But I don't remember when that happened, if that was actually like a thing that they chose to do because of current events, or because those were the 2 most iconic representations of New York's skyline at that time.
Super Mario Bros. 1993. Nick, what would you rate it on a scale? See, I'm so letterbox pilled now that I think of film scores on a scale of 1 to 5, a 10-point scale. Obviously, we are operating on the Constant Crusade on a 20-point scale with 10 whole numbers. How do you guys want to rate movies for this segment?
I'm fine with a 20-point. I mean, I don't know how much nuance you really want to inject into a rating of a film. Like, how many points do you really need to work with there, EJ?
I'd go 10.
All right. Nick, what would you give Super Mario Bros?
I would give Mario Bros an 8 out of 10. Dude, this is a really nice time. Like, if you ask me, hey, what do you want to do this weekend? You want to have a couple drinks and like watch the Mario Bros movie? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm down. Like I'll watch this over and over.
All right.
I'm not tired of this movie, and I don't foresee myself becoming tired of it. It is loud and abrasive and ridiculous and enjoyable throughout the entirety of it. So like, yeah, I fucks with it.
Chris.
Probably so hard. It's like, as an adaptation, I'd probably give it one very different score. But just as like
0.5.
Yeah, it'd be like a 1.5. I mean, let's be reasonable. Like there are some things that it definitely does on like a 1.5 out of 5-star scale. As an adaptation, is probably earned, but I don't know, probably 3.5. That's like my average letterbox score, where I'm like, if you pretty much set out what you're trying to do, if you are perfectly cromulent, you're going to sit right at a 3.5 for me. You've got to do something pretty well to go above that, and then be truly exceptional in the style or performance or genre or whatever you're like setting out to achieve to get into like the 4, 5, and the 5 territory. So I go like 3.5. I think this is like a 2.1 on Letterboxd. So I go 3.5, and that is what I will rate it on my Letterboxd, Super Kawaii 420, after I get off this call.
That is high. I will give it a 2.5 or a 5 rather. It is a movie with occasional highlights, but it's poor. I might go 5.5. I might go 5.5 on this film.
Give it a 6.
Nah, that's too high. That's too high. And again, I said these things about the film not being markedly worse than anything else that I've seen from the 80s. And that, while that is true, I also don't like anything from that time period for the most part. So like, again, the bell curve of what EJ enjoys, it's not those things. So I think it's a perfectly fine movie. But I'm gonna go 5. I'll go 5 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm going to do it.
EJ, what was your least favorite part of this movie?
My least favorite part of the film was the costume and set design. It was just, again, if it was 20% less outrageous, I think things would have landed for me a little better overall. Like, it's just a little too ridiculous. I have the same problem, again, like I said, with something like Back to the Future 2, where a film that, like, is supposed to be funny, but also takes itself seriously, it just undercuts everything they're trying to do when they're in the future in that film. It's the same issue I have there. It's just a little too much, and in this case, a lot too much. And I think they could have gotten the point across and still been totally outlandish without being a complete parody of whatever it was trying to do. It was just too much. That's my least favorite part. My least favorite part of this film is that it completely set back video game adaptations for fucking 40 years. We're still dealing with this problem. Uwe Boll still has a career. Paul W.S. Anderson still has a career, and it's the Super Mario Bros. Movie's fault.
I don't know. I like this movie a lot. I think the one part of it that doesn't make sense to me and has never made sense to me is Iggy and Spike just all of a sudden being like, JK, like we've just not been with Koopa the whole time. They just like show up at the...
It's because they got smart and they realized that Koopa's a bad
and
guy.
I love that.
I think that is explained in.
But what
in
they
movie.
say though is
Adequately.
that they've always been with Daisy's father. They've always supported the king, is what they say.
Yeah, and they'll always lie to benefit themselves in the moment.
I guess. I don't know. It's just like, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. Because when they're in the desert before they go back to the bar and they're like, yeah, down with Koopa, which I was kind of like, oh, that's hilarious. And it's like your IQ goes up and now suddenly you're like, oh, the leader I liked is a fucking fascist. Like, that's topical. But in the desert where they're like, okay, they're like, give us the rock. Well, I mean, there's an opportunity to just go, we're with you. Let's go get the rock back and then figure out how to get Daisy. But that's not what happened. So it's just not quite, it doesn't quite make as much sense as I would like. Not that, again, much in this movie makes sense. But if you're gonna give me this
Right.
like heel turn redemption thing, you know, and even like when the first one of them comes out of the machine, he's like, our not so benevolent ruler. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But then, yeah, the desert scene just fucking muddies the water in a way that the rest of it is like pretty clear. So I guess that.
Yeah, I think that just that played for me because they were always kind of weaselly, you know, self-serving, conniving, just looking for the next thing that's going to be benefiting them. But they were just too stupid to like do so on their own. Like they didn't have any sort of ability to do so previously. And then as soon as they had that ability with an additional de-evolution ray blast on the cranium, then suddenly, yeah. I would say my least favorite part of this movie, and it isn't through any fault of its own because it wasn't really, like, it was kind of trying to be an adaptation. Like it was like had a pastiche, had sort of a glaze of Mario and Luigi, and like the little keywords sprinkled in and like a little flavoring.
Goomba.
But like they got these boots to do big jumps, and they don't stomp on any Koopas.
No stomping.
They don't do the thing that they do. The one thing that they do in the movie is just jump. They don't do any of the other things you do in a Mario game, like break bricks. Like they didn't jump against anything. They didn't stomp on top of anything. The two things that you can do after a jump, they don't do that. They just land.
Well,
So
to keep
anticlimactic.
their PG rating.
That's true. They did fire the boots at a Goomba on one occasion, which was like, I guess.
Why are you being creative? Just jump
No,
on
I
it.
know. Listen, I agree. I fully agree.
It is silly. It is a missed opportunity, but also I understand that they weren't given a lot to work with, and they also didn't try very hard to do the thing they were supposed to do. They just made this bonkers movie, and
It's
Yeah,
a blast.
it's a blast.
This is an iconic cover right here.
It's a great
for real,
fucking
a great cover.
Really good.
The suits that they're wearing, like the ones that they grab out of the locker, and they've got the suit
It's a
up moment
great
where they're standing
fit.
next to each other. That's a great shot. That's a great costume design. It's the only good costume design in the entire movie.
This ain't no game. It's a live action thrill ride. You heard it here first.
Thanks.
There's one other thing I want to say about this movie that I learned for the first time today when I finished my watch. easily seen this movie 5 times. Probably it's a lot higher than that because, like, God knows how many times kids watch movies, especially in the DVD era, like when the tape doesn't wear out anymore. Like, I remember the day where Joey's fucking Rockadoodle VHS finally wore out, so we would stop fucking watching that movie over and over again. Not so with DVDs. You could watch it forever. So I don't know how many times this used to be. A lot of fucking times. I had no fucking clue this movie had a post-credit scene until today. Did you know this movie has a post-credit scene? Yeah. Because I sure fucking didn't. And I went, you know what? I'm just going to, just in case, skip through these credits.
Let it play out.
Holy shit, that's hilarious. EJ, did you know this movie had a post-credit scene?
I'm looking it up right now. I had no idea.
You did not watch through the credits,
Hell
you
no.
fake fan. You gotta stay through the end. I thought Marvel taught you something. What movie was it that you were talking about staying in the theater and people were like waiting for the post-credit scene?
What was that? Yeah.
Absolutely Marvel
Borderlands, yeah.
There's Borderlands,
We
dude.
talked about that.
No, I was out of there so fucking fast.
I can't wait to hear one more joke from Jack Black.
Tiffany's like really big on sitting through the credits lately. I'll let EJ watch this and I'll yap while he discovers this. Tiffany's been big on like sitting through the credits of the film lately. Like whatever movie it is. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not sitting through. I'm not waiting for this. I just got up and started leaving. It's like, you can stay if you want. Just walked out into the hallway.
The Super Koopa Cousins. That's
Super
great.
Koopa Cousins.
That's great.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, this like camera like whips around to Iggy and Spike in some stupid fucking new outfit now that they're in like real Brooklyn instead of fake Brooklyn. I love it. I love it.
Oh, they would have gotten up to so many adventures in the sequel.
They would have.
Man.
What could have been?
I am going to buy this on 4K and I'm going to do a rewatch of it so we can revisit this maybe at the end of our list. I want to see this in glorious, a beautiful 4K restoration.
We can add that to the list of things that we'll watch when we're hanging out this winter. We know we got A Knight's Tale queued up.
Chris, you got to pick one. You got to. Well, you're going to be here for 6 weeks.
I'm gonna be here for so
watch more
long,
movies.
dude. It'll just
Yeah,
be
that's
like
true.
movie Tuesdays or something. I'll come over and watch.
We could watch 2 movies?
See, I'm picturing like, oh, we're gonna have 2 days together. You guys are gonna come down. I'm like, I might be living in a home going through heavy renovations around Christmas time. Yeah, we can watch a movie every Tuesday. Fuck it. That'll be tight.
You might be amicable.
You'll have a telly and a couch. What more do we need?
Yeah, we'll make it work. It'll be a very uncomfortable arrangement for me, but plenty of space to sprawl out. Get high on paint fumes, ceiling mud, asbestos dust. We're fucking partying, dude. Doing rails of asbestos instead of coke.
Now you're
Blood-based paint.
talking. Ooh, we.
That's the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and this has been the Console Crusade podcast, okay?
The
Scapellis are at it
again.